What up, YouTube? This your boy, Magus of the Soul 95, back with another video. So before I get started, I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the likes and shares and subscribing. I'm extremely appreciative, and I hope you guys are digging the channel from the beginning and continuing to like it and continuing to support it. So today, I want to get into a different subject today. This was kind of on my mind. I've been kind of meditating on this for a while. So I definitely feel like it's time for me to start talking about it. And it's going to get real deep. I'm not going to go too deep into it because it does kind of involve a lot of different ideologies and philosophies. And I don't want to make this video too long. So I want to talk about like manifestation and transmutation of energy. I want to talk about like light and dark, angels and demons. I want to really talk about it today. So to get started, I'm going to define some of these terms, and some of these terms actually are going to be terms I'm going to have to use later on in each video anyway, because a lot of like my spiritual practices and things that I'm very familiar with do involve a lot of manifestation ideals and a lot of energy talk. So I want to talk about it. I think this kind of be the basis of a lot of different videos I'm going to have. So let's just define manifestation anyway. So manifestation, I guess, to kind of sum up the definition of it, is putting a certain level or a high level of emotional intent into a certain thought or idea and making it become real. So hold on now. It's going to get, with that being said, is going to kind of get us into some different topics. So for manifestation, a lot of people in spiritual practices who do a lot of manifestation or manifesting for like the full moon or any kind of celestial occurrence, people like to do manifestation because the energy levels within our bodies is higher and our connection to the universe is higher. So when we're talking about manifesting and talking about putting our emotional energy into something, which is extremely powerful, and making it become real, it's all kind of brings it back to this thing I heard about called the law of transmutation of energy. So this idea is that all energy in motion eventually takes human form, or excuse me, takes physical form. I didn't give y'all different, I didn't jump to the other part of what I was about to talk about. It takes physical form. Hold on now. So when we're talking about that and we're talking about energy, I'm going to try not to use the terms positive energy and negative energy because that's more scientifical, and I'm talking about spiritual energy. So I'm going to use like light and dark, but if I slip up and say positive and negative, that's it. I just mean light and dark. So I want to kind of talk about that. I want to talk about how energy in motion becoming or taking a physical form, because when we start talking about like spiritual, like spirits and deities and a lot of different ideologies about like what certain benevolent spirits look like and what certain malevolent spirits look like, it really oddly enough, it kind of reminds me of I know I'm like getting off topic, but it kind of reminds me of It. And I love the books. I love like the It books, and I think it's fantastic. The movies were great as well. But minus all the lion turtle stuff that I think was in the books, the idea that it was kind of this this ancient being that existed before man, and how its form changed based off of the humans that it came in contact with, and how it fed off of the fear of humans, and it kind of based whatever its physical form was off of the human fear. I kind of want, like, what I'm going to talk about is kind of based on that idea, because a lot of our mental imagery is very important for manifestation. When you're manifesting something, you're not just supposed to, sit cross-legged and whatever. You're supposed to kind of create this image of what it is you're manifesting, whether it's your career or a relationship. You're supposed to actually have some kind of emotional ties to the imagery that you're imagining. It's supposed to raise some kind of emotional vibration within your body. So you're imagining all these different scenarios. You're imagining all these these different physical things, right, while you're manifesting. So I think that plays a very important role in light and dark energy as well. So when we're talking about manifesting something of light, and when people who practice certain spiritual practices that involve benevolent spirits, when you're imagining yourself connecting to this benevolent spirit, you kind of have to ask yourself, what is your idea of what a benevolent spirit is? Can't talk today. But yeah, imagining what that benevolent spirit is. So, hold on, because it's gonna get a little deep. So when I'm talking about like the physical idea of what people imagine certain things, or what the physical idea of what people have of certain things, I feel like that plays a major role in the human existence as far as the way we behave, in the way that we go about doing certain things, especially when you're a spiritual person and you believe in light and dark spirits. I feel like that plays a major role in who you are as well, as far as how you dress and how you look. Is your skin glowing, or are you mutilating yourself and getting horn implants? Hold on, I'm gonna go into that. So when it comes to that tie to spiritual energy, I want to talk about that. Let's talk about spirits for a second. Let's talk about what spiritual energy is and how spirits play a role in it and what they look like to you and all this other good stuff. So let's talk about that. I want to talk about the spiritual realm for a second, the non-physical world, the world that exists within ours, that is not a physical, as far as the physical aspect of this plane. I want to talk about that because a lot of people had this idea that the spirits just do their own thing. The spirits are just sitting there chilling. They're living their lives. They have no care in the world about what we're doing. For the most part, they don't really care as much about what's happening in this physical plane because they either are no longer on this plane or they were never on this plane. So this plane does not, affect them. Wrong. Just as easy as it is for a human being who exists in the physical realm can connect to the spiritual realm, it is just as easy as it is for the spirit world to connect to the physical world. But not only that we, as far as the easy aspect of it, but also we want to, even without knowing, your body is trying to connect to the spiritual world in some way, shape, or form. A part of you is longing to connect to a spiritual energy, whether you realize it or not, whether it's the feeling that you get when you're connecting to the spiritual energy or otherwise. A part of you are innately, programmed almost to kind of connect to the spiritual world. And the yogic practices they talk about stuff like this, like yoga likes that. A lot of, yoga philosophies talk about like the human body having different systems, for channeling energy. The human body is a channel for spiritual energy and the universal force and whatnot. So it's a lot of what I'm talking about can be traced back to a lot of yoga stuff as well. But the human body really is just a channel for energy, and the spirit world is just literally that. It's just a lot of energetic things and beings existing on that plane. So people think that these spirits have no care in the world about what we're doing, but wrong. Their entire existence is really based off of what happens in the physical world. The spiritual world and the physical world, they live right next to each other. They are on top of each other. So these spirits, they want to exist on both sides. They want to have their foot on both sides, just like the human body wants to exist on both sides in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to get into dreams today, but I'll talk about that later on. But the human body wants to have your foot on both sides as well. So the spirit world, they care. They want to be a part of this world as well as theirs. That's really where you get your power from. You're not going to be an enlightened, conscious being if you're not, if you don't exist on both the spiritual plane and the physical one. So with that in mind, the spirits are also dealing with that same kind of idea as well. So talking about that and talking about how spirits want to have their foot on both sides, little do people know, spirits are constantly trying to affect our world. They are constantly trying to affect us. They need us to affect the physical world. They can only affect the physical world so much without us opening that door and letting them in. So they kind of have to, they got to be invited in. They got to knock on the door and be like, yo, what up? Can I come in? And you be like, no, I don't know. And it's going to keep bothering you until you let them in. They're going to keep being the annoying neighbor to say, hey, they're going to come up with excuses, try to coax you to their side to say, hey, you know, I can do this for you. Like, I just need to use the bathroom. I need something so you to let me in, because once you let me in, it's a wrap. We are now roommates. And that's what I want to talk about. I don't want to, I want to get deep into possession. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what possession is. I want to talk about how angels and demons do appear in physical form to us, but I want to talk about how. So first, I want to talk about the idea of what people think benevolent spirits look like. And I want to talk about it, like what that idea is, going all the way back to ancient times, because I just love ancient times. Those people just had so many great ideas. But anyway, moving on. When it comes to what their idea, or what, you know, their idea was back then, and what idea of what benevolent spirits and malevolent spirits are now, I want to talk about that. So I'm going to talk about a lot of colors and a lot of imagery, because like I said, imagery is very important with manifestation anyway. So let's talk about angels. When you think of angels, I'm sure, you know, especially back in the day, angels were always these, you know, beautiful creatures. You know, they look human, but they look so like beyond human beauty. They love to wear their white, because, you know, white was the color of innocence and purity, you know. And then let's talk about the most important part, the wings. The wings of a dove, these beautiful white wings. Here we go with the white color again. You know, these beautiful white wings. So you're going to see a lot of animalistic connections to these spiritual beings throughout time. Anytime you see these, you know, these ancient scriptures, and you see all these imagery of these different deities, they all have some kind of animalistic look to them. So with angels, they all have this beautiful, shiny, white, you know, looking look to them. And it's like, oh, okay. So that is what that's what people's idea of what a benevolent person looks like. A benevolent person has it together. They are beautiful. They are well taken care of. They have, wings of a dove, and doves are, you know, looked at as these majestic birds. They're like, oh, look, the doves are in the sky. That must mean that the angels are here. Or, oh, that must mean that someone I love who passed away is here. You know, you see the doves on people's pamphlets at the funeral with their head there, and the doves flying around it. You see it for church signs. They got the, you know, the doves and whatnot. So doves are that symbolism of beauty and purity and benevolence. So of course they would associate angelic or benevolent being with that, associated with that creature. So moving on from angels, we're going to talk about what the physical form of what people think demons look like. Now this is the part, you know, might make people feel a little uncomfortable, but let's talk about it. A lot of imagery when we talk about demons, when we're talking about any kind of dark creature, or any creature with any kind of malevolence, any malevolent beings, they're always wearing black, right? If they wear clothes, if they even have clothes on, some of them are naked. And it's like, oh, they're naked. They got talons. They got fangs. They got horns. Horns are it. So they pick any animal that has horns, or any kind of sharp anything. They're going to take that animal and associate it. Goats are not even, they're not that aggressive. They are. I think all animals have their ability to be aggressive. But, you know, goats don't go around trying to, you know, hit people with their horns. So, but they associate the goats with demons because of the horns. They associate bulls and all these different horned beings, these talon creatures, bats. Sometimes the demons will have these bat-like wings. And then think about the vampire. The whole, like, the creation of what a vampire was. It was like, oh, it was based off of bats, these bloodthirsty bats. And they hang out at night and they hide in caves in the darkness, and then they come out and drink your blood and when you're asleep and all this other stuff. So think about that. People's idea of what dark things and what light things were are based off of the things that they feared and the things that they loved. And that's why it reminded me of the it concept. It was because, its form had changed throughout time based off of who he was encountering at the time. And it stuck with the clown thing because everybody is scared of clowns or whatever. So whatever. So that's why I say it reminds me of a lot of it, because it's kind of like, you have these creatures, you have this one this one creature, this one force, as far as dark energy, that likes to change itself based off of who it's around. So that's why, and I want to talk about this because really I see it a lot, and I constantly think about it all the time. But it's like when you see like serial killers and all these different rapists and just people who are sick, they have all these they all do their different things, but they all look different. Some of them, they, dress like, whatever, good looking people or whatever the situation may be. And then some of them go as far as to skin people alive and eat their victims and dress like clowns and, skin their victims and wear it on their face. What's his name? Ed Gein or whatever, the dude they based what's his name, Leatherface off of, the dude who actually used to rob like graves and murder people and like made a whole mask out of people's like skin. That's demonic to me. I don't care what nobody says. You don't even have to, where people like to say, oh, when a human being does something demonic, it's like, oh, they go as far as to say that they practice Satanism and all this other stuff. It does not take all of that. And that's what I really want to dig deep into. This is why I want to talk about how angels and demons do take physical form through us. That person that you see out there just doing constant, philanthropic things, and you see them out there, helping people. They see a strange man on the street who appears to be homeless, and they just give him money and they take care of him, give him clothes and food and all goodies and snacks and all this other stuff. Those people are being worked, through by angels, and that energy channel. They are allowing this light force to go through them and to, really perform all these gracious acts that really heal the world. Same with the demonic energy. I think people need to acknowledge demonic energy for what it is. A lot of people like say, oh, it's really negative in here, and oh, it's really like, oh, it's so, the energy in here is just the bad vibes and all that. No, let's call it what it is. That's demonic energy. Like, I'm going to talk about this one situation at work where we had a patient who was so angry. He wasn't even like, before he even got belligerent, he was just so hot. And we took his blood pressure, and his blood pressure was super high. And he was just like hot. And that's another thing I want to laugh about, is that we saw about when somebody's hot, they 38 hot, and they boiling, he really was. He was boiling. He was boiling so much, it was coming off of him. It was fuming off of him. When that man was told that he had to leave and that he did not follow the instructions and he has to leave, the premises, sir, you have to come back when you follow the instructions for the surgery because we can't put you under. That man was so hot. Without even speaking, you can just feel it. And then, of course, when the doctor came in to tell him that, and she was upset because the way he was like behaving, like he didn't understand that he wasn't following the instructions. So he was hot, she was hot, they walked out the room. I wasn't here for the most of the interaction, but I tell you one thing, when I walked back to that treatment room, and I was just like, whoa. You know how they say tension so deep you can cut it with a knife? I needed a saw because it was thick. It was thick in there. It felt disgusting. I felt like violated by the energy. I didn't like it. So I was like, all right, well, cool. Talking about that and talking about that energy, I felt like if I was around it long enough, I would have got mad. And I know people think that's like that's an extreme thing to say, but I don't think people really understand how often that really happens when you have this energy signature that is spreading. It's so thick. It's trying to manifest. It's a spiritual energy that is trying to manifest. It is trying to grab hold of something or someone and get them to behave in the way that they find appropriate, or that, makes them feel that they finally have that control or that foothold of the physical world. So anyway, when I talk about that and when I talk about the idea of what demons are, I really feel like that's really based on the person. When someone is allowing or channeling dark energy, because sometimes we don't even know we're doing it, when we're allowing dark energy to just constantly be channeled through us, it's trying to coax you. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but when you're being affected a lot by a lot of dark energy, your dreams start to get dark, where it's just like, oh, I had this really crazy dream where I did some stuff I would never do, or I had this dream where when I was trying to kill somebody. It was like you have these dark dreams. That's that dark energy trying to coax you to its side, to try to let you be comfortable with what it is, to say, hey, I'm with you, I understand you. This is if we, let me all the way in, and then you can be exactly who you feel like you are, because obviously, why would you feel this way? Why would you have these dreams if this ain't a part of who you are? And that's the part that makes it all so, not only so difficult, but also so real. Because we all have that light and dark that exists within us. And that's why, what the energy that we channel is so important, because we can easily let that angelic, that benevolent light spirits, affect us the same way that we can do the same with the dark. So I think it's very important to pay attention to the energy that you're channeling, because once that dark energy takes hold of you, you change. The way you dress change, the way that you view yourself change, the way that you view the world change, the way that you even take care of yourself changes. That's why they have all these different imagery of demons looking all mangy and dirty. Sometimes they associate demons with bugs and doo-doo. Like, talk about with that demon Beelzebub, talking about, like, and I think a piece of that name has like the word dung in it. So it's just like, you just associate this demonic energy with doo-doo and like bugs and filthy things. So it's just like, yeah, filth. People who, are being heavily affected by negative energy, by dark energy, is going to feel down and hopeless and angry. That anger is really what's important. That anger and that fear of everything that is a part of that dark energy. And it's just like, it starts to take form. It starts to take over them. It's like they don't care about their physical appearance. Sometimes, like I said, people mutilate themselves. Then you got some people who are so cool with that dark energy, they done collided with it, that they want to look like it. They want to create themselves as that image that they saw of that dark energy. They want the horns. They want all the different, the eye colors, and they want to get their teeth, sharpened to get fangs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I understand everybody, sense of fashion is different, but come on now. Like, when people start, changing themselves to kind of look more monstrous, you kind of have to ask yourself why sometimes. And I feel like it's a lot of that dark energy coaxing them over to the side, so to their side. So with that being said, and I know it sounds crazy, and it is what it is. I'll be crazy, but at the end of the day, I laugh about it sometimes, because I do watch a lot of like these videos with like people being in the woods, like the videos they say don't watch while you're alone or in the dark, and I'm like, click, I want to watch it. So and I see all these people having all these videos of like these people in the woods who are just like naked, and their hair is all mangy and their skin looks all gross and they look monstrous, and they just running around in the woods like a crazy person, or eating animals. And I'm just like, they're like, oh my God, is that a demon? Is that a blah, blah, blah? And they're like, no, and like people in the comment section like, no, it's just a person, probably homeless or whatever, or going through something. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it is a demon. It's a demon in human form. There are lots of demons in human forms running around. When people out there trying to, people get crazy and they get, angry for no reason, like all the Karens you see running around, who just get crazy and mean and aggressive and harass you, and the creepy person at night who you're at a party and you're trying to go to sleep and they lurking over you, trying to do some sick, twisted stuff to you. That is the definition of an incubus. That is an incubus in human form, No one ever said an incubus couldn't be a human being. No, couldn't take possession over a human body. That is an incubus demon. So I don't know. Call me crazy. At least you call me, in the words of Drake. So with that being said, I do want to I don't want to go too much into it. I don't want to, I don't want this video to be way too long. But I definitely want people to think about that a little bit more, about the demon energy and the energy that you're channeling, and the light energy and the angelic energy and the benevolence and the light and the dark. I want people to really think about that stuff, and kind of be careful with the energy you surround yourself with, because they're looking for any human being or any physical being, animals as well. They're easily affected to energies just as well as we are. So be careful the kind of energy that you surround yourself with, the energy you surround your pets with, your family, your babies, all of that. Be careful of that energy that you are surrounding yourself with, because at some point it's going to jump and it's going to spread and it's going to do things to you. So let the light in, pretty much. So I thank y'all for watching this video, and I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have comments, whatever else, hit me up. I'm definitely going to talk about it a little bit more in different ways. I'm not going to make another video surrounding just this one subject, but I will kind of talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, feel free to continue to send me stuff in. Like I said before, I am extremely grateful for all of the support that I've been getting, and I hope I continue to get it. Thank you guys for watching.